Hello and welcome. Today's session is all about relieving tension from the hands and the wrists, moving those hands and wrists in different articulations, and then bringing strength to those rotations. So today we're going to start on the floor, and we're just going to need your one short stick for this session. So we're going to start by opening up the hands and the palms and stretching out and actually rolling out this perimeter of the palm here. So we're going to get into this meaty part of the thumb and the meaty part outside of that palm as well. So I'm going to show you this way first, but then your hands are going to be face down on the sticks. We're going to move the hands in this circular motion, pressing each part of the palm into the stick, acting as if the stick is a foam roller. So we're going to release tension in the palms by pressing down and rolling those hands. All right, so we'll start on the floor. You can also do this on a table or something at waist height or lower if you want to stand up instead. So we're going to start at the back of the palms. The back of the palms are going to press down into that stick. We're going to work at around 30% of your max effort for this, so nothing too crazy. Try to keep those elbows straight throughout, and you can play with how much you want to shift your weight forward onto those hands. But we're going to roll to the inside of those hands, roll that stick up towards the index finger, roll across the pads of the fingers towards the pinky finger, roll back down on the outside of the hand, and at the base of the palm, you're going to roll across the pad of that as well, getting back to that meaty part of the thumb. Rolling up towards the thumb and the index finger, out to the pinky finger, and down on the outside of that hand. We're going to do this 3 more times in this direction. So it's going to feel like a little massage for your hands as we go through this. And like I said, you could play with how much weight you're putting into that rolling. The stick is just going to roll back and forth in this movement. We're going to go one more, nice and slow. And then when you reach the base of the palm, we're going to reverse that direction of the circle. So now we're going to go out to the outside of the hand first, up to the base of that little finger, pad across the fingers towards the base of that index finger, over towards the thumb and towards the base of the hand. Each part of the hand that reaches the stick, you're going to try to release tension so you can kind of dig into that hand with the stick. We're going to do that 3 more times, nice and slow. These circles are smooth and slow. You can spend a little more time in an area that feels a little extra tender. We're just opening up the hands here. You might even feel your forearms working a little bit as you go through these circles. And then once you reach the base of the hand again, hold that position, and we're just going to go forward and back. So we're going to get into a little stretch of the fingers as well here. So roll that stick towards you, and as you do, slide the base of the hand to the floor and the base of those fingers, pressing into the floor right here with those fingers. Once you get there, kind of shift forward to give a little wrist and finger stretch. Shift back out and roll that stick away from you. So now we're just rolling forward and back on the palms of those hands. When the base of the hands come towards you, you're going to place the base of the fingers down and shift forward to get a nice little stretch in the fingers and the palm. Shift back to roll that stick away. And we'll do that 3 more times. Rolling those hands towards you, stretching forward, shifting back, stretch away. And last 2, stretch towards you, releasing tension in those hands. Get a nice finger stretch here. You might just be able to shift forward a tiny bit, like an inch. That is perfectly fine. And here we go. Last one, rolling that stick towards you, shifting forward, shifting back, and roll it away. So let's slowly come out of that position. Now that we've got those hands opened up, we're going to work the grip and squeezing the stick with those hands. And at the same time, we're going to work some articulations of the wrist. So let's stand up, grab the stick right in the center of its sticker, and we're going to reach that stick out in front of you. We're going to start with that right hand. So all 5 fingers and that palm should be attached to the stick, and we're going to try to keep it that way throughout these drills. So you're going to reach that right hand right in front of the right shoulder with the stick perpendicular to the floor. You can be in a comfortable stance here. You could go into a horse stance or a tall standing position. And we're just going to go through what we call casting. So I'm going to take the thumb side of the stick, the top of the stick, forward. And you want to make sure that the stick is not rotating in each direction. And then I'm going to take the bottom of the stick and push the bottom of the stick forward. As you're going through these, make sure that the wrist is not extending this way. Keep that wrist in a nice neutral position. And then we'll go back to the top of the stick reaching forward. We also want to make sure that this elbow remains fully extended and that the wrist is in line with the shoulder. We're not dropping it. Go ahead and reach the bottom of the stick forward. We're just going to do 3 of these. Now notice how this articulation is much smaller than the other one. That's perfectly normal. So don't let your ego take over and start compensating to get that bottom of the stick further out in front of you. Let's go one more time. Top of the stick is going to reach forward and hold. Make sure we can hold each of these articulations. And then let's reverse that. Bring the bottom of the stick forward and hold. Once again, this one is much smaller and challenging. Hold. And then let's come back center. You're going to rotate the stick so that it's now parallel to the floor. So this may be a little bit harder on your shoulder to hold this position. Try not to let that shoulder come up towards the ear or the elbow bend. You can certainly bring this hand underneath the elbow if that helps keep it nice and straight. So let's go through the same articulations of the wrist. We're going to point the thumb side of the stick forward. Now these are hammerheads. So if you think of a hammerhead shark, it's got that wide nose. We're going to keep that hammerhead of the stick parallel to the floor. Now let's bring the pinky side of the stick forward and hold. Once again, try not to let that stick come out of alignment. We want that stick to remain parallel to the floor. Thumb side forward, hold, and pinky side forward. And again, we're going to isolate that wrist, so try not to let any elbow or shoulder movement happen. Let's go one more time. Thumb side forward, hold. Make sure you can hold these articulations, and pinky side forward, hold. Let's come back center. We're not done yet. I know the shoulder's getting tired. We're going to do stir the pot. So keeping that wrist right in front of the shoulder, we're going to draw circles with the stick using only the wrist. Let's go counterclockwise with the bottom of that stick first. You're going to try to make a nice, big, smooth circle, making sure that the wrist or that the elbow and the shoulder are not involved in this as well. All of this is happening from the wrist. We're going to do one more time. And then reverse it. Take the bottom of that stick clockwise. Look at that stick and see what your circle looks like. Okay, once again, we're keeping all 5 fingers and the palm attached to the stick. Let's go one more here and rest. Good. So we brought a lot of tension to that arm line on the right side. Let's do that exact same thing on the left. Okay, find a nice solid stance. Grip the stick right in the center. Nice and tight with all 5 fingers and the palm, and reach out in front. We're going to start with our casting. So I'm going to bring the top of the stick forward first and hold. And then I'm going to bring the bottom of the stick forward and hold. And then we're going to do that again. Bring the top of the stick forward. Keep that wrist nice and neutral here. And bring the bottom of the stick. Try not to let that wrist extend this way with the knuckles pulling back towards you. Let's do that one more time. Top of the stick reaches forward. And bottom of the stick reaches forward. Now slowly come back center, check in, make sure that the wrist is right in front of the shoulder, that the elbow is fully extended, you've got that nice tight grip, and let's rotate the stick. So now we're gonna go into our hammerheads. It's the exact same movement of the wrist, thumb side of the stick goes forward, but now the stick is just in a different orientation. And bring the pinky side of the stick forward, hold. And let's go 2 more times, thumb side of the stick forward and hold. And now pinky side of the stick, forward and hold. And let's go one more time, thumb side of the stick, forward. Keep that stick parallel to the floor. And pinky side of the stick, forward, hold. Now let's come back center. I know the shoulder's burning by now. Let's bring it perpendicular again. And let's go in that clockwise motion this time with the bottom of the stick. Keep that wrist right in line with that shoulder. Keep that elbow nice and straight. We're moving slowly and smoothly, keeping that whole palm and all 5 fingers attached to the stick. And then let's reverse it, going the opposite direction. Look at that circle that you're creating with the stick. Is it nice and smooth? Keeping that elbow nice and straight. We're almost there. Let's go 2 more. And rest. Okay, slowly bring that stick down. Now let's work a little bit of rotation from the elbow. So we're gonna work forearm rotation, but we're also working on strengthening the wrist with these rotations as well. So you're gonna hold this stick with the palm facing down, right in the center of that sticker. And the elbow is gonna be flush against your side. So we want that whole upper arm bone squeezing into your side. Now, if you let go of the stick and if it's falling towards the outside a little bit, I want you to slide your hand out just a little bit so that we can maintain a parallel position of that stick, okay? So we're gonna isometrically hold these articulations, this pronation of the wrist and the forearm. So I want you to just hold this position, squeezing that stick nice and tight. Again, we're really working on maintaining a parallel stick with the floor. You're gonna feel your forearm working really hard here to not only grip the stick, but to keep this amount of rotation. If this is easy for you, you're going to slide your hand inside just slightly, okay? So you're gonna find that changing the lever length of this stick makes a big difference. So once you slide that hand inside, you're gonna let go and hold again. Trying to maintain that parallel position. Try not to let that elbow fly out to the side. Try to keep all 5 fingers in that palm on the stick without letting that wrist droop. 3, 2, 1. Grab back onto the stick. If you can, see if you can go a little further inside, a little millimeter. And then we're slowly gonna let go and hold, trying to maintain that parallel. So we're isometrically holding and challenging this pronation of the elbow and the wrist. Hold for 3, 2, 1. Now I want you to, instead of grabbing onto the stick, supinate the hand. So we're gonna turn that stick around. Palm is now gonna face up towards the ceiling. Now, if I slide my hand further outside, I'm gonna challenge this position. So find a place that's pretty easy to balance here, and we're gonna hold. So we're just getting used to this supination. Once again, you're gonna feel that grip working nice and hard, but in a different way this time. You might feel the top of the forearm. So once we have this supination, stick is parallel to the floor, we're gonna challenge it a little bit. So you're gonna slide your hand to the outside just a centimeter. And we're gonna hold, isometrically squeezing, preventing that stick from taking your hand and elbow into pronation. Hold, hold, hold. 3, 2, 1. And then see if you can go a little bit further into that. Really challenging this supination, and hold. And if that's not challenging enough, you can certainly move that hand even further outside. Hold. 3, 2, 1, and let that stick take you down into pronation. Back to neutral. Shake out that right hand and wrist, and let's do all of that on the left side. So we're going to do our isometrics with that left hand in pronation first. So upper arm is going to be flush to your side. We want that stick to be parallel. Once again, if the stick is longer on the inside, that's going to make it easier. Okay, so find a position on the stick that's going to allow you to find this parallel position of the stick without too much trouble. And then we'll make it more challenging from there. So we're squeezing that stick, keeping that elbow bent at 90 degrees. So don't let the wrist fall down. Don't let that wrist droop here either. Hold that for 3, 2, 1. Then let's challenge it a little bit more. You're going to take your hand a little more towards the inside of that stick and hold. So once again, the stick is going to try to pull me this way. So I'm shifting that stick towards the left to challenge that movement. But if it starts to go down, take that stick a little bit more towards 3 o'clock. Hold 3, 2, 1. And then let's shift a little further, a little more challenge here. So you'll notice one articulation is usually stronger than the other. Pronation is a little bit harder than supination. So you might not be able to move very far off center here holding this pronation. And keep squeezing that stick and holding for 3, 2, 1. Now without grabbing onto that stick, allow that supination to happen all the way till you get to the other side. Find a challenging position. So now this time, if the stick is closer to 9 o'clock, it's going to allow you to get more into that supination. The further it goes towards 3 o'clock, the more challenging it's going to be to keep that supination. So we'll find a nice starting position that's slightly challenging. And hold. Keep gripping that stick so we really feel the top of that forearm working to maintain this supination. Hold for another 3, 2, 1. And then let's make that a little more challenging. Slide the stick out towards 3 o'clock or your right side, where it's going to want to pull you out of that supination into more pronation, and hold here. Breathe, keep squeezing that stick and hold for another 3, 2, 1. Then let's challenge that position even further. Let go and hold. Try not to lean the body towards that arm. Keep that wrist nice and neutral. Keep squeezing that stick and hold for another 3, 2, and 1. Allow that stick to fall down and take a breath. So let's get into a wrist stretch to finish our session today. You're going to grab the stick out in front of you, very similar to our last setup. Hands are going to be about shoulder width apart. I want you to grip with both hands, all 10 fingers, and the palm attached to that stick. Then I want you to drop the left hand away and see if you can maintain that supination and hold. So now we're going to let that stick drop down, pulling the wrist into pronation. And you're going to continue to flip it up towards 3 o'clock and finally up towards 12 o'clock, where it's going to be right on the outside of that right shoulder. Okay, hold this position. So now we've got a deep bend in that wrist. Now you're going to grab the top of the stick with that left hand, thumb facing up. Make sure that both hands are gripping the stick nice and tight, and you're going to pull that left side of the stick across the body. So you don't want it to go out this way. We're going to keep it really close to the body as you pull across. This is going to create a deep stretch for the wrists, especially if you keep the wrists and hands pretty still all day. If you're working at a desk, let's say as an example. So this is really going to open up the wrist complex. Take a deep breath here and let's slowly come out of that stretch just slightly. And as you exhale, go back into it. We're going to ease into this stretch, pulling that stick across the body, hold. And then slowly ease back out. Let's go one more time, as far as you can go. Once again, keeping all 5 fingers and the palm on the stick with that right hand. And let's see if we can, from this position, intensify the stretch by rolling the knuckles of that left hand towards you ever so slightly. Hold. So now from here, let's increase the capacity of this wrist movement with that right hand. We're going to isometrically lengthen that stick. So I want you to pull the stick apart with both hands and hold. And then shorten that stick. Press that stick together with both hands. Hold. And again, pull that stick apart. See if you can find a little more tension with this rep. And shorten the stick, pushing together. And one more time, lengthen and hold. And shorten that stick, push. Now you're slowly going to let go of that left hand, but continue the movement with the right hand and wrist slowly out of it, back to that starting position with two hands on the stick. So now we're going to do all of that on the left side. So gripping that stick nice and tight, you're going to drop the right hand away, try to hold, hold, hold. And then slowly let that long part of the stick fall towards the floor, and it's going to flip up to the side, ending up right next to that left shoulder. So my left arm is fully extended and straight in this position. Reach across with the right hand, thumb is up. Make sure that all 10 fingers and the palms are attached as you pull into that wrist stretch and hold. You might notice that one side is a little bit easier than the other. One feels maybe a little bit tighter. Take a breath and then exhale out of that stretch. And let's pull back into it. See if you can get a little bit further this time. We're just easing into this stretch nice and slow. And slowly come back out of it. Let's go one more time. Pull across with that stick into that stretch. Make sure that the hand is not flipping out to the side. We want to keep it really close to that left hip. Now intensify the stretch by pulling those knuckles towards you ever so slightly with that right hand and hold. We got a deep stretch on that left wrist. Now let's intensify and improve the capacity of left wrist. We're going to isometrically pull that stick apart and hold, pulling with both hands, that left hand included, and then push that stick together. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze in on that stick. And let's go two more times. Lengthen the stick, see if we can find a little more tension. Keep gripping that left thumb and shorten the stick. And let's go one more time. Lengthen that stick. Breathe. And shorten. Keep all 10 fingers attached in those palms. And then slowly release that right hand. Come back to center with the left. Back to that supinated position and release. Nice job today. I hope your hands and wrists feel really good and nice and stretched out, and I'll see you next time.